All right, so coming off one of our greatest hits of all time, Omni-Man vs. Goku, we've decided to come back with another club banger. This time, it's going to be a part of my Who Can Beat series, and Chuck's here, honestly, because he's someone I consider really good on classic Thanos, that is, before, wild, more modern stories. And because of this, I wanted to bring Chuck in to talk about classic Thanos. We're going to discuss what he brings to the table and who we would send to defeat him with our three characters. Of course, the rules, if you don't know, if it's your first time, your three characters, 1v1, they shouldn't win, but 3v1, they should win. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that. Go check out Chuck's channel if you haven't already. And before we begin, Chuck, is there anything you'd like to say?
Oh yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on here. Yeah, we did come off with like a banger a couple of days ago. You guys should check out if you haven't already. But yeah, with Thanos, I am a pretty big fan of him. I'd say like my wank, probably helped push him higher, than where he was seen at a couple of years ago. And Thanos, I think he's a pretty complex character. A lot of good showings, a lot of good feats, and we are gonna be going over some characters that we think will give him a run for his money for sure.
Yeah. So all right. So we're gonna be focusing on, I'd call it, I guess, non-outliers. Basically, where me and Chuck would kind of see Thanos and how he fits in Marvel in its classic era without any like outlandish feats or power-ups. He was consistently what I would call in like this weird flux between high Herald tier and Skyfather tier. Characters like Galactus narratively were like portrayed as not caring much if Thanos pulled up, even if he was on his goon shit. But he was kind of a threat to them, especially if he was really wilding out. So he was a little bit above Herald tier, considering like how he did against Thor anyway, and characters like that. So I would say he doesn't fit in Herald tier, which I don't know. What would you consider like Herald tier to be? I consider it, people go from Galaxy to like Uni Plus, with high ends being multiversal at their best. What do you think?
Oh, actually, okay. So for low heralds, like what I remember, I would consider like a low herald, like at least star level. We have Frankie Ray, who was a herald of Galactus. She was able to like easily wipe out stars. And then once you get to like Silver Surfer, Beta Ray Bill, and Thor, like they were around that like mid to high herald tier, in which I would say they're like solar system to like galaxy plus. I would actually say that Thor and Surfer are capable of like, when they're really pushed against a wall, like I feel like they can easily reach like
Yeah, they go out of
like,
tier.
universal
Before
ranges.
people freak
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
we know Thor and Silver Surfer go out of tier, but we're considering it kind of in tier. So like,
Yeah.
I guess I'd say if he's above the high tier, he'd be at least what we're considering Uni plus, for classic Thanos. At least.
I actually have a more like I guess an easier way to explain it. So say that Thor or Surfer are fighting like Tyrant or Galactus, or Odin, right? They would have to try a lot harder to like actually damage them and keep up with them, right? While I think that Thanos doesn't have to put as much effort as they would in the same situation. Or like how do I put it? Okay, Thanos's like casual state would be like Surfer and Thor trying really hard. I guess that's another way of putting it.
Yeah, it gets a bit weird because like I was gonna say he's kind of portrayed as someone that's trying, like a false god, trying to achieve godhood, but he beats up a god in Thor all the time. So someone could be a smartass in the comments. But he was. I think that's what made him interesting in his classic form, though, is that pursuit of godhood. That's where the buffs were coming in, the power sources. But What do you think if you had to like warn somebody before sending out a team against Thanos? What does he bring to the table that you would warn them first about?
For sure, I would say that Thanos is like no ordinary like brawler, because he's like really fast. He has really high durability. He knows a lot of combat styles. Has really powerful shields, really crazy technology and guns and stuff like that. And like most of all, like his hacks, matter manipulation, mind manipulation, and like he could even like basically restore his like self even while going through like this reality warping like realm. So very, very hard to put down for sure. Like I would say that like to wear him down, like I would say that one of the priorities is to distract him and like have him wear himself out basically. But yeah, like I like to point out that classic Thanos has some pretty crazy stuff. Like, even though he wasn't like able to beat Odin, he was able to put up a pretty good fight against him. Odin was, praising him, and they were going blow for a bit. I don't think that Thanos could have beaten Odin in that situation. But I mean, Thanos also like went up against like a power gem and rage Thor, so it is not just Thor or Thor with the power gem. It is one that is literally batshit crazy.
Bro, Thanos
and,
beat Ben Grimm, bro.
Thanos and Thanos was able to like hold his own against him, and I think another good feat is like when he fights Tyrant. Now he did have like a small amp because he did have like an orb with him, but we later see that Tyrant had a lot of energy, like a lot more, right? So I guess you could discount this one, but I still think it is applicable to an extent because there was this guy named Tyrant who I believe was Galactus's first herald, unless I'm missing something from like the Black Winter stuff. But yeah, like Tyrant was very comparable in power to him, and he later got nerfed, but then he got some of his power back. And Silver Surfer, Terrax, Gladiator, Beta Ray Bill, all of these characters that are like around Thor's tier, Tyrant just shit on all of them, and then Thanos came and Tyrant was like, whoa, like, you're a lot more than the others were, right? Even if he didn't have the amp, I think he would have still been able to fight him a lot better than all of those would have. But yeah, like, pretty much to take from that is that Thanos equates to a lot of heralds, basically, like a team of heralds, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair way to put it. I do think his most slept-on attribute is his speed. When I was talking about the Ben Grimm thing, that actually was kind of wild because he'll just get you out the way real quick. Ben didn't even get a chance to swing. He just like auto-removed him with a mind blast through the eyes. So he is kind of deceptively quick in combat and mixes in his hacks really well with brawling. So he's real good about like throwing an uppercut and then blasting your bitch ass. Like he's gonna mix it in and make it hard to kind of anticipate how he's gonna attack you. I would say that probably worries me most about fighting him is just the versatility and his IQ as a fighter. But with that out of the way, going over he brings mind hacks, energy hacks, matter manip, Herald plus tier physicality, all these things. Who would I send? I'll go first and I'll let Chuck break down his team. But for my squad, first character, probably most important, definitely is Leech. Leech is a character from old X-Men runs. He hasn't been seen much, but he's fascinating because we don't know the upper limits of his power, but basically his mutant ability is power drain. If he's around you, your power drains. This was shown with Jean Grey, Cyclops, Professor X, who's matched Thanos and mind hacks like AP before. This was showed when they fought another character. I'll show this on screen because people will probably think I'm wilding about the wheelchair guy, but he really does snap. You have those things with Leech, and then he also showed it's not just mutants he drains. Like Lockjaw the dog couldn't use teleportation hacks or anything around Leech. And the fact he can go to like Jean Grey levels, Professor X, Franklin Richards. He shut off Franklin Richards, Scarlet Witch. I believe that's Scarlet insane. Witch. Like, yeah. Like the power sources he's shown he can shut off and passively neg is crazy. He's also quicker than people think. Like Quicksilver couldn't blitz him. He ankle picked him. It was funny as shit. So like, he is quick, and just being in the area of Thanos, he could like shut off the power, which makes it interesting for my next two. One is Drax. If y'all don't know, Drax in the comics, quite literally was made to pursue Thanos and try to kill him. This is due to literally family blood beef with Thanos, right? Like, that's just his desire now. Come back every time, try to defeat Thanos. Very exceptional hand-to-hand close quarter fighter. Has actually beaten Thanos before, got the drop on him, tore his heart out. And I think with his blades, his physicality, and his like fighting ability, he can take on someone like Thanos, especially if like its stats equalize essentially at this point without hacks. And we've seen Thanos lose to like Surfer stats equalize just fighting as warriors, so he can be beat. And finally, just to kind of confirm the beating, is Wolverine. Even if he's depowered, still has adamantium claws and his fighting abilities and all that. And we know his claws can pierce classic Thanos, and this is depowered, so I think he could help chop up Thanos and take him down. This would be my trio to take down Thanos. What would your trio be?
Oh yeah, so just before I get into that, like I would like to mention that like Drax, like even early on, like I think his very first appearance, he like crushed a star. You know, like,
it was
One,
ridiculous.
but,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's like pretty like significant, and you know Thanos beat him, you know, mind hacks him and stuff. But yeah,
Thanos hates fighting him though. Like, he really is a pain in the ass for Thanos to deal with.
Yeah, so not really original with like this first one, but you know, Thor, I think that like he's one of the characters that has pushed like Thanos, like, you know, to a degree in some battles. Thor, like, I think Thor is like at a spot where if he goes like all out, you know, like uses like a God Blast or something, and it can definitely like hurt Thanos, but I don't think it would kill him, right? So I think that with the additional power and like abilities from the other two characters, which I'll mention in a bit, it should like close the gap. But I think Thor would be like the heavy hitter of the team, like, and like the I guess like the probably the fastest one. I don't know, like I'll say he's at least comparable to the other one I'll mention. But yeah, I think that Thor would be like the ace, you know, like, because I mean like he just has really crazy like abilities with his hammer. I mean, he can amplify his power, and I mean, if he manages to get really nasty hits on Thanos, you know, wear him down, I think that would make it easier, you know. The next one was pretty obscure, but it's this character from Countdown Arena, which is like this mini series, which is when Monarch, who's like this DC villain, who scared the monitors and basically was, you know, a multiversal threat and fought Superboy Prime. But anyways, before he fought that fool, he had like assembled all of these heroes from like these separate realities, and he had them fight kind of like in a tournament of power setting. He would have like, you know, 3 of each version, like, you know, Wonder Woman's or Superman or, you know, stuff like that. And whoever won that, he would assign it, and whichever of those won, he would assign it to his army. But anyways, there's like this guy called Christopher Kent, and this Superman like seemed to be solidly above the other two, like, I guess, standard Superman. Like, I wouldn't say they were as powerful as post-Crisis Superman, like the mainline one, but I mean, these Supermen were like comparable to each other. Like, they could still, you know, they could still, you know, hit each other and stuff. But Christopher Kent seemed to be like way beyond them. Like, he actually called them like pretty much like infants compared to like what, you know, what he knew. And this dude can like amplify himself by absorbing energies. He literally uses chakra, right? Like some Naruto type of shit. And, you know, like he did manage to like do a good degree of like, I want to say damage, but he did manage to like stagger Monarch a little bit. And it seemed like he was like the strongest one out of all of those that were there. And if we scale him to like the flashes and stuff like that, I think he would, you know, have the speed to for sure keep up with Thanos. And I think with his energy absorption, you know, that could, you know, help out Thor to, you know, weaken the blows and stuff like that. For the next one, I would say he's kind of more like a punching bag, or like a, Yeah, like pretty much a punching bag, or like like just a sack of meat, and that would be Buhan. Now with Dragon Ball characters, like I would say in attack potency, like even like during the late Buu saga, they should easily be like High Herald, like I guess decently into the Skyfather tiers as well. Um, we have Buhan with his like Vice Shout in the anime. He was able to like threaten to collapse the whole universe, and yeah, it was a chain reaction. But Vegito later tells him like, "Yo, bro, like that thing you just did hit me with that power, bro." And so yeah, he can clearly use that power to do that, like in a physical sense, right? I don't think Buhan would be fast enough to like, you know, I guess like dodge out of Thanos' punches very well. I think he would be at like a certain point. Like it depends how you scale the speed of Dragon Ball characters, but I would say like he wouldn't be able to like solidly like keep up with his punches like Christopher Kent or Thor would. But I do think that the reason he would be helpful is because although Boos can be hurt physically, you more so have to like vaporize them or like kill them with a really powerful energy attack. So I think that if Thanos just tries to punch him out, he would take the hits. Yeah, and I think the point would be to like wear him down and try to force Thanos to use like his energy attacks, right, and waste his energy and stuff like that. But yeah, and Buhan also has his regen, he has his magic, and he does have the intelligence of several characters. So I think he would be pretty analytical, and he would, as I said, just take the hits pretty much for the team.
Yeah, that's I like that. I like that shit. That's like you went for the classic brawler style. I went for the bitch attack, like try to depower and get him out of there.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. You weren't the first person to mention a Buhan type character. I do think that kind of regeneration would be frustrating for Thanos, which makes it interesting. Obviously, if you can like get him in a position to get hit by the God Blast or something, that'd be really rough for classic Thanos. But yeah, people, comment section down below. Let us know who you would send to kill Thanos. Remember, you can't win the 1v1 with these characters. We didn't approach this with any of our characters like in mind, scaling above Thanos in a 1v1. So try to like make it a little challenging by doing that. That's what makes the series fun. But anyways, Chuck, thank you for coming on and helping me get rid of one of your favorite characters. I'm actually doing that to Midnighter soon. I already got rid of Lobo. It's been a blast doing that. Me and Chuck actually have been grinding mad hard, so we don't have any. I don't think we have anything to announce right now, do we?
No, not really, but okay. Not really, but we will be doing like a composite Omni-Man at some point. So yeah.
Yeah, composite Omni-Man, composite, perhaps Goku maybe. That's likely going to be touched on, just because the last one did so well, and it is an interesting. Like we did have a lot of fun on the topic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but thanks Chuck for coming on. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks for having me on here, bro. Appreciate it.
For sure, and we'll check y'all later. Peace.
Yeah, peace out, hoes.